No justice. No justice. I said no justice. I'll come by to let you know that democracy is under attack. I said democracy is under attack. I'm gonna take you to church if you let me. Look at your neighbor and tell them democracy is under attack. In light of what we're seeing across the country and just around the corner at the Supreme Court, we saw a decision which further gutted the Voting Rights Act. At this moment, we need to escalate where we are because we cannot afford to stand still with where we are. We cannot afford not to have legislation to answer what is clearly not only a legislative but a judicial leaning of not only voter suppression but voter suspension. You heard me right? I don't know about you, but I can't seem to understand the limit to early voting. I can't seem to understand the need for more than one ID. I can't seem to understand the removal of drop boxes and partisan control. I can't seem to understand the over 700,000 residents of Washington, D.C. not having their voice counted in Congress. So family, I'm clear in this work. I'm clear that Medgar Evers was not murdered on his lawn in front of his children, in front of his wife by the Klansmen, so we can hold positions and be in charge. I'm clear that Fannie Lou Hamer didn't say, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. Martin Luther King was not jailed in Alabama and knifed in his chest and shot down on a balcony in cold blood on a balcony in Memphis so we can bury our heads today and seek position and not power. I'm clear that John Lewis did not get beat over the head walking across the Edmonds Pettus Bridge so we can experience symbolism and not the things that we know we deserve. So I come here today standing on the shoulders of the Ida B. Wells, standing on the shoulders of the Ella Bakers, standing on the shoulders of the Bob Moses, standing on the shoulders of the Shirley Chisholms, to say that we deserve and we demand and we require from these streets to those seats that the United States Senate pass the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act, that the United States Senate passes the For the People Act, that the United States Senate passes DC statehood, that the United States Senate ends the filibuster. Because we cannot wait, and we will not wait. So I come by to let you know, if you've gotten comfortable, we have not yet arrived. We have not yet arrived. I said we have not yet arrived. We are fighting for generations yet unborn. And there will come a time in our nation's history when our children's children will read about this moment. And I ask you this question, senators. And we ask you this question, senators. What side of history will you stand on? So I implore you this question. Will you do what is right? Will you do what is necessary? Because the soul of our democracy is dependent on it. No justice, all power to the people.
I know I'm stating the obvious, that it's hot. But let me say to those of you, 58 years ago, it was hotter than it is today. 58 years ago, it was hotter than it is today. Am I right? The man there? Yes. And folks were in the reflection pool. They had their feet in the water. Probably half of the marchers were in the shade, but they were here. And you're here. But it was a lot hotter, not temperature-wise, it was a lot hotter in Congress because you had Dixiecrats and reactionary Republicans who did not want civil rights bills to pass. And a year later, they certainly didn't want the Voting Rights Act to pass. Those same speeches that were delivered 58 years ago could be delivered today. And so, as hot as it is today, we still must put the heat on members of Congress. Let me introduce now the president of the National Action Network Michigan chapter and the pastor of King Solomon Missionary Baptist Church, the historic pulpit where Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X, Thurgood Marshall, T.S. Boone, and a host of America's leaders used that pulpit as a stage to spread a progressive message of change. Brothers and sisters, put your hands together for the Reverend Charles Williams.
No justice, no justice, no justice. What do we want? Justice. When do we want it? Now. What do we want? Justice. When do we want it? Now. Take your hand off my vote. Take your hand. Off my vote. Take your hand. Off my vote. Take your hand. Off my vote. Everybody make some noise. All my life I had to fight, and I ain't gonna stop fighting now. We ain't gonna stop fighting now. We had to fight for a 13th Amendment. We had to fight for a 14th, 15th, 1964 civil rights, and 1965 voting rights. And I'm gonna tell you right now, in 2021, we're gonna keep this fight alive over our bodies. We will not allow them to take our vote. We will not allow them to ignore our call. Senators and congressional representatives are putting together trillions of dollars that they can spend in their districts, while at the very same time the people who sent them there, voters being disenfranchised. We're standing up today and we're saying, hell no, we want our vote. And so we will not stop. Yeah, we marched last year, we're gonna march this year. And we're gonna march tomorrow, we're gonna march next year, we're gonna march until justice comes by any means necessary. And so we come with a simple message. And that message is the message that Dr. King left us a long time ago. If you can accept it, you will do something to transform the conditions here in America. I'm not worried this afternoon, no matter how dark it may be, no matter how difficult it may be. For I know that it is true that truth forever on the scaffold, wrong forever on the throne, yet that scaffold sways the future. Behind the dim unknown standeth God beneath the shadows, keeping watch above his own. William Cullen Bryant was right. Truth crushed the earth will rise again. The Bible is right. You'll reap what you sow. And if you don't give the people of God, the children of God, the right to vote, we're going to keep fighting. Take your hand. Take your hand. No justice. No peace.
No justice. No justice. In the 1960s, Jim Crow kept black Americans away from the ballot boxes, and today, this discriminatory laws of the past are making a significantly stronger comeback all over our country, and that's why we are here today. Just as Dr. Martin Luther King was here on August 28, 1963. So please tell Congress that the time is always right to do what's right. Let the church say amen. Please make sure to visit nationalactionnetwork.net. If you're silent, you're just a bigger part of the problem. Let the church say amen one more time. Serving as the Houston NAACP president and pastor of the Community of Faith Church, Bishop James Dixon.
Good afternoon, brothers and sisters. My name is James Dixon from Houston, Texas. Before I start, I want to give it up for these courageous members of the Texas delegation who broke quorum, fighting for voters' rights all across the United States of America. Come on, give it up. They left their families, their businesses, their homes, their children, and they are 8 weeks out of the Texas legislature refusing to support corruption in state government. Give it up. And we want all other state legislators to follow this example. Because all over the United States of America, we are fighting to protect democracy and to preserve the right to vote. Give one more big shout for these patriots of democracy. I want to thank God for this opportunity and thank Reverend Al Sharpton, Martin Luther King III. Let's give it up for our leaders and our organizers today. National Action Network, all of the volunteers. My name is James Dixon. I lead a non-profit, non-partisan organization called Push Democracy Forward. I'm the president of the Houston NAACP. Our national president was here, Derrick Johnson. I've been a part of NANS for 30 plus years. Today, I want to thank Martin King III for his family's generational commitment to keeping justice moving forward in the United States. Let's give it up for the King family. And certainly Reverend Al Sharpton, whose fearless, thankless leadership has made it possible for so many of the least, the last, and the left out to be included and to be empowered. Let's give it up for our leader, Dr. Reverend Al Sharpton. Brothers and sisters, today, 58 years ago, Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. led this march on this historic ground. And he fought until he died. I want to announce today that we have come back to Washington 58 years later, still demanding the same thing that he shed his blood for in 1968. Today we have come because 58 years ago, Dr. King invited all of America to the table of brotherhood. And today we come to announce that there's still too many empty seats at the table. There are empty seats at the table because there are brothers and sisters that we have who refuse to come reason together to talk about how to preserve this democracy. They don't want to sit with us and have the real conversation about voting rights, the real conversation about critical race theory, the real conversation about mass incarceration based on color and based on economic status. They don't want to come to the table to have the real conversation. But I'm asking you to join us in Texas and around the nation
inviting all of them to the table. I want you to shout with me, come to the table. Come on, say it again, come to the table. The word of God says, come, let's reason together. Let's have a real conversation about what's wrong with these 400 plus laws and bills that you're pushing across the United States of America. They will lock out black votes, brown votes, poor votes, elder votes, and the votes of those who are disabled. Let's come to the table. Let's come to the table to discuss why blacks make up 12% of the population, but over 40% of the prison population. Let's come to the table. Let's come to the table because should not we have marched enough already? Yes. Have we not had enough protests already? Yes. Haven't we spoken out enough already? Yes. Don't we all understand that all Americans deserve the right to vote and be protected by the government and from illicit government? Don't we understand that? Shout with me, come to the table. White folk, come to the table. Black folk, come to the table. Indigenous, come to the table. Asians, come to the table. Gay, straight, come to the table. Catholic, Protestant, come to the table. Let's reason together to pass the John Lewis Voters' Rights Act and to pass the For the People's Act. When I think about this and I'm ready to go to my seat, thinking of y'all sacrifices, blood has been shed. That makes the right to vote a sacred right because blood has been shed. And we're urging President Biden to use your might and your muscle to fight the end of filibuster and to get these bills passed. No excuses. Come to the table. We're saying to the U.S. Senate, this is not a black issue or a white issue. It's a wrong issue or a right issue. Come to the table. We're saying when you vote right, you will vindicate the blood of those who died and suffered to give black folk and others the right to vote. Vindicate the blood of Fannie Lou Hamer. Vindicate the blood of Medgar Evers. Vindicate the blood of Goodwin. Vindicate the blood of Cheney. Vindicate the blood of Amelia Boynton Robinson. Vindicate the blood of John Lewis. Vindicate the blood of Martin Luther King. And vindicate the blood of a Jew that died on the cross at Calvary. Come to the table. Stand up with me and shout. Come to the table. Voting rights now. Voting rights forever. God bless America. Peace.
Wiping off COVID-19, she was cooling that mic down. I'm getting more and more inspired. And I want us to understand. And by the way, all of you who have your iPhones, your whatever, start streaming. Because there are millions of folk who are watching and looking. Take photographs and send them. Look, if this was Beyonce wearing a diamond, we all have a million whatever images going on. This is important. And so look, for folk who couldn't be here, for people that just for some reason couldn't make it. And by the way, can we all do this if you don't mind? I'd like to have a moment, just a moment of silence for somebody or two people I know would be here. The Reverend Jesse Jackson Sr. and Jackie Jackson. And if we could just have a moment of silence and pray in your way for their recovery and their health. Thank you very much. A new generation is on the line, and this young lady represents that generation. It's a family affair when it comes to the Sharptons. They are all committed. She's an activist, a community organizer, entertainment, media, entrepreneur, podcast host, social media manager, and the youngest daughter of Reverend Al Sharpton and Dr. Kathy Jordan Sharpton, and she currently serves as the director of the National Action Network Youth Huddle. Put your hands together for Ashley Sharpton.
Peace and power, peace and power. I want to share the mic real fast with our NAN Youth Huddle lead brat, Usman Diallo.
Yeah, clap it up, clap it up.
Good morning. Good afternoon. I would first like to thank Reverend Al Sharpton and Martin Luther King III for convening this march, and NAN Youth Huddle for allowing me to hold space and speak my truth. In quoting the late great Dr. King, he said that laws are passed in a crisis mood after a Birmingham or a Selma, but no substantial fervor survives the formal signing of legislation. While our Birmingham and Selma was last year, during a global pandemic where the whole world has stopped, but the disease and cancer known as white supremacy was still slithering and killing off our people. And instead of our worldwide demonstration leading to legislation to combat this disease, we instead got BLM painted on streets. Instead of infrastructure and institutions that breed black love, black power, and black intellectuals, we got black screens and hashtags on Instagram. And while I respect the continued efforts to dramatize the shameful conditions that America has constantly put my people in, it is truly not enough. All last year we have heard Democrats and progressives say that if we want change, we must get Trump out of office. And we did just that. Then they said that they needed the majority in the Senate. And we got them just that. So when will our change come? When will we get the cancellation of student debt? When will we get the passing of the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act? When will the John Lewis Voting Rights Act become law? Democrats, when will you stand up and do the right thing? No justice! No justice!
Peace and power. Peace and power. No justice? No justice? No justice? When I first heard my father utter those words, I was just a little girl. I didn't quite understand the meaning back then, but as I got older and saw what people like Reverend Sharpton and other activists did to raise awareness and fight for civil rights, the definition became more and more clear. No justice, no peace meant we will not stop, we will not rest until there is justice for all. There's no shortage of challenges and problems in front of us today. For my generation and for those who are even younger, if you ever wish that you were alive for the fight for civil rights in the 1960s, well, your time is now. Everything that our parents, grandparents, and ancestors fought for, many even gave their lives for, is on the line. And one of the most significant rights under attack is our basic fundamental right to vote. They are trying to tell you and I that we cannot vote. They are trying to tell us that we should not vote. They are openly telling us that they will try everything to stop us from voting. And they are showing us all that they understand and fear the power of our vote. If your voice and your vote didn't matter so much, they would not be trying so hard to undermine it. Right now, there's nearly 400 bills in 48 states being pushed that will suppress the right to vote. This follows years of other repressive laws, as well as the Supreme Court gutting the Voting Rights Act itself in 2013. This is why we at the National Action Network and many others in the civil rights community have been fighting so hard for the passage of the For the People Act and the John Lewis Voting Rights Act. It is inexcusable that both have stalled and have not been enacted to law. We must have federal protections when so many states and localities are actively working to undermine our ability to vote. Too many think that young folks don't care. Too many falsely believe that we aren't engaged. Too many count us out. They don't think we're involved. But is that us? No. We understand that this is our future. This is our future that's in jeopardy. We understand that when voting rights are under attack, we stand up and fight back. We understand that when one group is oppressed, we are all held back. And we know that none of us are free until all of us are free. I spent most of my adult life fighting for equality for women, communities of color, the LGBTQIA community, and young people. Centering their voices and their concerns are the key to any movement forward. It's why I started NAN's Youth Huddle in 2013. It's an inclusive space for the young leaders of today and tomorrow, that the huddle carries the torch from our elders into the battles before us now. That's the faces that you see standing behind me and many that you see gathered here today.
Amen.
Bro, I'm sorry. Dr. King said freedom is never voluntarily given by the oppressor. It must be demanded by the oppressed. Well, we're here, Ancestor King, making our demands. Truth crushed the earth will rise again. Truth is rising. We are not just marching on Washington, we're marching for Washington to get statehood. We're marching for true democracy. We are standing for the people of God against evil in high places. We are here to demand and challenge the powers that be to carve out around the filibuster and pass the John Lewis bill. Black women and young people like me helped to put this new administration in and kick Trump out. I'm appalled that we're still fighting, but I'm not tired yet. Somebody tell the devil that the children of God has risen up. Somebody tell the new day of Elias that the children of David are here. Somebody get the word to the GOP and the Democrats that the children of Tubman, Truth, Golden, Hayner, King, X, Sharper, and Marsha P are present. And we won't turn back. We won't go back. We won't be distracted. We will get better for our people. Dems, we are your backbone. We must protect the vote. For whatever, backwards never. God bless you. I'd like to bring on Tiffany Figueroa to share some encouragement with you.
He brought us. One more
Please, one more time for Timothy Figueroa. What an amazing talent she is. In the 1920 election, America turned out in record numbers. And now, a few of our selected officials are signing legislation, jumping through hoops to make certain that it doesn't happen again. So while states pass laws that are intentionally targeting black and brown voters, we must, and I mean we must, make our voices heard loud and clear, just as Dr. King did back in August 28, 1963. Let the church say amen one more time. Amen. Peace and blessings, Queen. Good to see you. I want to learn how to do that. We're going to talk later. President of the 1.7 million member American Federation of Teachers, the AFT is dedicated to the belief that every person in America deserves the freedom to thrive, fueled by opportunity, justice, and a voice in our democracy. Ladies and gentlemen, Randy Weingarten.
We actually have a triple threat here, because labor is very important to us. Labor is extremely important. All of you who are members of the labor union, let me hear you. Just yell it out. Let me introduce, and they're all going to come out together. So I'm going to introduce one more labor leader, and you got one to introduce, and we're going to bring them all out together. The International Vice President of the Service Employees International Union, President of SEIU, Local 2015, which is California's largest union and the nation's longest long-term care union. Get this, representing over 400,000 home care and nursing home workers throughout the state. And with all that craziness, can I say that going on in California, and you got some jackass Republican.
You better talk.
I said, I'm on, no, and he wants to get rid of Medicare. He wants, he wants to get rid of minimum wage. I know we're going to be voting on him. But anyway, I'm not going to mention his name. He knows who he is. And y'all in California know who he is. This is nonpartisan, but we're not stupid. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, April Barrett, and then one more labor leader, and then we're going to bring them all out together.
Let's hear it for the legend, Joe Madison, please. One of my mentors in radio, and just an amazing gentleman, such a legend. President of the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees, the AFL-CIO, with 1.5 million members in communities across the nation, serving in hundreds of different occupations, from nurses to correction officers, child care providers to sanitation workers. The first African American to serve as AFSCME'(S) president, Mr. Lee Saunders.
To be here with my brothers and sisters of this movement, the labor movement and the civil rights movement. And this movement gives me hope. Hope that just like in 1963, when our mothers and fathers marched for jobs and justice on a day that was this hot or hotter, that march led to the Voting Rights Act. And this march will lead to the end of the assault on voting rights. That's why to Dr. King's dream, but the commitment of the American dream for all of us. So if I sound mad, I am. Because here, almost 60 years after Dr. King riveted the country as he spoke of the unifying dream for all children, after almost 60 years after John Lewis almost died on the Edmund Pettus Bridge for voting rights, we are here one more time fighting for voting rights. It's inexcusable. It goes against everything we believe in and teach our children about the American experiment and the promise of democracy. And I should know, I am a social studies teacher who has taught this for years. Every American has a right to a voice in the democracy. Every adult American should be able to exercise that voice without the ridiculous suppressive hoops that state after state is trying to do. Every American should have the right to a good education, a good job with a right to a union, and a say in who represents us. These rights we fought for in '63, and we will fight for every single day. And speaking of education, obviously it requires us to reopen schools fully and safely. But let me also say this. Our kids have a right to know the full, honest history of the United States, even if some people find that uncomfortable. And I cannot believe I have to say that out loud. But I'm telling you, as the president of a labor union that represents educators, we will defend any teacher who insists on teaching honest history. All of this, though, depends on our right to vote. Because we, the people, must pick the people in power, not the other way around. And you know, that's why there is this assault on voting rights. That's why there are 500 plus anti-voting right bills right now. Of course, it's fueled by Trump's big lie about the 2020 election. But let me end with this. That big lie is not bigger than we are. That big lie is not bigger than Dr. King's dream. That big lie is not bigger than our fight for freedom. And that big lie is not bigger than my grandmother who came from the Ukraine without a job, without an education, who made it in America. That big lie is not bigger than any of us standing here. We're bigger than these lies. We're bigger than these attacks on the right to vote. We're bigger than the attempts to erase history. We need to fight and to be in struggle in this fight and in solidarity, to fight for the John Lewis voting right, to fight for H.R. 1, and to fight for an America that stands up for everyone.
Good afternoon, Washington, D.C. I'm hot too. Y'all can do better than that. I said good afternoon. That's more like it. Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Reverend Sharpton. Thank you, Martin King III. Thank you, Derek Johnson, and all of the folks who brought us together today. What a beautiful sight in front of me. The sight of our people standing up for justice. I am April Verrett, and I get to represent, it's my privilege to represent the 2 million members of the Service Employees International Union. Every single day, I wake up to fight for the 400,000 members of SEIU Local 2015. We are a union that is mostly Black and brown women, immigrants, who do the hard work of taking care of the elderly and the disabled in their homes and in nursing homes. And over the last year and a half during this pandemic, their jobs have been harder than ever before. They have risked everything, their lives, their livelihoods, to care for others, and they continue to do it selflessly. But I'm here to tell you, COVID ain't the only illness impacting our nation. Our nation has been impacted by the plague of hate and racism since the days Europeans landed on these shores. And across our country, our democracy is under attack by a different plague. The Republicans are systemically trying to roll back our voting rights. Since January, 48 states have introduced over 389 bills meant to make it harder for all of us to go to vote. And in some states, they passed the laws. We see you, Georgia. We see you, Florida. We see you, Texas. But the Republicans' attack on our democracy are limited to the old stomping grounds of the Confederacy.
Walk down to the
back in my home state of California, and you can't get much deeper blue than California. We have
there's something else going on
that is meant to roll back the voice of the people. It's just California's version of voter suppression, but we aren't going to stand for it. If they can't beat us in a fair fight, we know what they do. They cheat, they rob, they steal, they rig the game. It's the echoes of Jim Crow. It's the echoes of history. We know the roadblocks. We know the signs. We know how they intimidate. But we will win in California. We will win in Texas. We will win in Georgia. We will win in Florida. History may not always repeat itself, but we hear the echoes. History is echoing today. Can you hear it? Can you hear the echoes of history? You know it better than I do. August 28, 1963, civil rights leaders, labor leaders, faith leaders came together to march on Washington
the rally
for
for
jobs and freedoms. A
police brutality is
Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
down at the,
Can you hear
what is that again?
Oh, the Washington Monument.
Down at the Washington Monument. So I'm going to head down there.
Marching for our jobs, marching for care, marching for justice, marching for our climate. Can you hear the stirs and the echoes of history? We will not be denied our legacy. We will not be denied our freedom. We will not be denied our justice, sisters and brothers. We will not. So what do? Dr. King said, I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and
This is bad. Yeah, it's bad.
suppose these truths to be self-evident.
It's super hot out here.
Are created equal to achieve and live out the
What's going on, everybody? Ran into a few people from Minnesota out here. I'm out here with Soup right now. King Demetrius Pendleton is down here. And it's a Georgia Fort. He's out here somewhere. Yep.
And today we will rise up. We will not be moved until we win the John Lewis Voting Rights Act. We will win the Ignore the People Act. And we will win the largest investment in care this country has ever seen. Thank you, sisters and brothers.
What's them shirts, man? How much are them shirts? About to buy me a shirt real quick, y'all. Give me large.
Strengthen their communities every single day of their work in public service. I am proud leaders speaking for a labor movement that believes human rights.
You can't tell me not African.
I'm also proud leaders of long-time residents of Washington, D.C. speak up for my own voting rights to demand my right to full representation in the United States Congress. Free today. foundation of our democracy are undefeated state after state. Our forces played a ruthless to the core population. They know that when more people participate,
I just want to put that on camera.
they lose. They know that they're not going to stand up to win fair and square. So they're rigging the political system, doing everything they can to silence the voices and suppress the votes of black and brown people. All the issues that we care about.
That's it?
Yeah, do not click it and do you got it.
Oh, yeah, I got you.
Access to the ballot box. If you care about strengthening unions and empowering working people, this is your fight. If you care about affordable health care, this is your fight. If you care about wealth inequality or retirement security, this is your fight. If you care about racial justice, this is your fight.
Let me show y'all how hot it is out here for me anyway. Whew, I don't know if y'all see the top of my head. Sheesh. It's a little warm, y'all.
The March on Washington for
How long you been out here for? How long you been out here for?
I got out here Thursday night.
Voting rights across the Edmund Pettus Bridge.
Brother lives in Maryland.
Selma, Alabama.
So,
which is like,
Man, I wish I had some family out here.
so today.
shit, I want to go for a ride in his. He bought a car the day that I got here before he came and picked me up from the airport.
Because God knows
I don't know if you saw it on my Facebook.
Was it like a Corvette?
Yeah.
Yeah, black?
Yeah.
Yeah, that thing's sweet.
Yeah. 2021.
Did you get a ride in it?
Not yet.
That was brand new?
Yeah. He ordered it last year. And they had producers. They got to build them motherfuckers for you.
Do a ride into the Corvette Street. I think that would be amazing. See if I'll let you touch that.
Yeah, he's 22 years retired out of the Air Force and shit. Government contractor. Through the military. Yeah.
We march again.
Yeah, I guess Toshira's down here too.
Tomorrow we return to our communities and we raise our voices. Today we march tomorrow.
I had to take the mega bus from New York because my ride situation was messed up.
Oh, and mobilize every hamlet, every block, every city, every state across this country.
No, I flew.
Oh, okay.
Today we march. And tomorrow we continue to go to the local
That was driving out.
Yeah, she went on vacation. I'm like, let's go here. She's like, okay. All
Today
right.
we march.
Perfect.
Tomorrow we protect our most precious fundamental right, the right to choose our the right of self-government, the right to vote, free, fair.
It's not that bad of a lot.
Today we march. Tomorrow we raise it out. Thank you very much.
Is Cortez down here?
Yeah, I think somebody said Cortez is at the monument. And then, a bunch of people from Visual Black Death.
Yeah. I know, right? I almost got one of them little scooters on my way here. I had to walk from Union Station.
Oh my God.
First and foremost, I want to say thank you for practicing social distance due to this global man-made pandemic. I want to introduce to you Madison.
What kind of shoes are those?
Huh?
Look at those shoes.
I bet it's be comfortable though.
passes the torch. And
Brad didn't come out with
No, couldn't.
I'm not passing my torch. Now, I might, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to light your torch. Like John Lewis. Dr. King.
At the Capitol? Yeah, we got somebody out there streaming right now. Brad got somebody out there.
And they held on to their torches.
I'd see a bunch of people streaming all over the country. That'd be fun.
I'm in the dark.
Huh?
I'd love to have like a bunch of people streaming all over the country. That'd be so fun.
Like, right.
But what we have to learn to do,
So what's going on, everybody? How y'all doing out there today? Please like, share, subscribe. You guys get a second.
because none of us have the time to drop it. And so for years, like torches, go back to your community and light the torches of fraternities and sororities and HBCUs and organizations.
Oh, homie got us water.
Oh, all right.
See, I just met him coming from Union Station. We was on the same bus, I think.
We're not climbing on the wall.
Is his name Alan? Or?
No.
Oh.
I just met him.
Peacefully. And Joe Manchin has
Right on, dog.
Hold on, bro. What scripture is he talking about when he said the scripture to be used for me?
Well, when you love John Lewis, then you vote for the John Lewis voting example. Hailing from the
obelisk.
Huh?
Can't tell me nothing. I'm right here. I'm like, okay.
Oh, you want that? You see like a bunch of people up there? I'm trying to figure out where they are.
Are they? I see like spectators and people. That's, the action is over here, I guess.
There's a big stage at the Lincoln Memorial too.
Oh, is it? All right.
Oh, you know where the victims of the attack yeah.
Food trucks. Looks like I might be having food truck lunch.
Oh, yeah.
Shit, you're gonna be so hungry walking this. Dang. This is like Brooklyn Beach Park.
Mm.
Is that the Obama Museum right there?
Huh?
Is that the Obama Museum? Yeah.
That's it? I haven't either. I'm going to check it out sometime.
I want to say what you told me that, man. I see everybody up here though. I see a lot of people up here.
Yeah. You're going to have to climb the fence and walk down.
You want to climb the fence?
Yeah, that's a chain. I ain't worried about that.
Ice cold, ice cold. Ice cold. Ice.
Okay, a little shade for a second.
All right. Like, so they had a big stage at the Lincoln Memorial, which is for them too, but somebody said Washington Monument, I swear.
I thought I heard that too.
This got too much going on.
Yeah. Ah. It looked like it's a stage set up over here.
That's what I do,
Right. I should have rented one of them scooters.
right? Oh, yeah, get the bird. The lime or whatever it is. Inspiration to quit smoking. Oh, there's something happening over here.
Right here. Yeah, that's where we at. Everybody's over there. I don't know if everybody. Well, it's two different events, so. Oh, it could have been right here.
Oh, yeah. Feels so good.
What's this? Who is that? Got a motorcade. I wonder who it is.
Right there, right?
Yeah, we over here.
Yeah, that's
I wonder whose motorcade that was. That is.
Might be Kamala's. You never know. What's going on over here?
This is the police brutality rally. Huh?
It's incredible.
Yeah.
My name is Jen. My younger brother, Justin Root, was killed last year by 6 officers from 5 to 6 feet away. They shot 31 bullets while he was on the ground, covered in blood, semi-comatose,
Wow.
He was unarmed.
Wow.
This can happen to anyone. The police cannot be judge, jury, and executors. And the question I want everyone across this country to keep asking is if when the police kill, should they judge themselves? Everyone I ask says no. So let's get everybody on the page and start talking to the politicians because we all say no. No justice, no peace. Thank you.
Ask the question.
Justin Root, say his name. He would say we're just one.
Just to let everyone know, if you missed your group, when we get to the final group, Group F, you will join as part of Group F. So if you missed your letter and color, you will be added at the end.
We're waiting for.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Latoya Vazquez, and I'm here representing our son, Antonia Vazquez Jr. His father and brother. He was murdered on our driveway on October 6, 2019, by the Pico Rivera Police Station sheriffs. During a mental crisis call, he was the first caller asking for help. They shot 16 times. One of those bullets hit him. Luckily, it was only on the foot, or else we would have lost him too. And 13 bullets impacted his body, stayed in his body. When he fell, as we witnessed him fall, he broke his nose, his jaw, and my son was unrecognizable. So we're here demanding justice for all, and for those who have their cases closed. I ask and I pray that God reopens those cases and moves those politicians that have become cold and cruel and rude and don't listen to our voices. So let us scream loud. Justice for all. Justice for Marco. Say his name, Marco Vazquez Jr. Marco Vazquez Jr. Marco Vazquez Jr. Ashe.
Just a reminder to people, after you do your 1 minute here, you can get your video done over underneath those trees across the way, under those trees.
I am the proud mother of 17-year-old Vincent DeMario Truitt. He was shot in the back twice by Max H. Carneal, a Cobb County police officer, on July 13, 2020. 2 seconds after jumping out of vehicle, my baby hit the floor. He was then handcuffed while losing consciousness. Trying to make sense of it all, he asked the officer, "Why did you shoot me?" To this day, that question has not been answered. Vincent died 1 day before my birthday. He never made it to tell me happy birthday, and he had big plans. But I'm here today to demand the reopen of not only his case, but each and every victim of police brutality. My son was an entrepreneur. He's a Georgia certified soccer. He was headed to the top. Officer Max H. Carneal, you will go to prison. We will not stop until justice is served. Thank you. Say his name, Vincent Truitt. Vincent Truitt. Vincent Truitt.
Boy. Yeah.
Hello, good afternoon. First and foremost, I want to thank everyone for coming out today. All of our families. This is the hardest thing I've ever done in my entire life. So I wrote it down because I don't want to go over my minute. My son, Jorge Antonio Gomez, was murdered by the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department on June 1st, 2020 at a Black Lives Matter rally for George Floyd and the injustices happening around this country for our brothers and sisters. He was exercising our First and Second Amendment rights. He was walking back to his vehicle. Officer John Squeal shot him with 5 low lethals because he wasn't moving fast enough. This caused him to run. There were 6 patrol vehicles across the street that were getting tactical gear on to attack our protesters. They saw this, and they decided to shoot him 19 times. There were training officers, over 30 officers in the area, no body cams, which is required by law. No warning shot. 22 minutes later, he lay there bleeding. When they finally allowed EMT to check him, he still had a pulse. 2 of these shots were in the head. He died upon arrival. They murdered a young man that was always helping the world be a better place. Just 20 minutes earlier, he met Carol Luke crying as she was holding her own son's sign and urn. She told him her son, Thomas McHenry, had been murdered by the same police department 5 years earlier, begged on his life. My son was devastated, gave her a hug, whispered in her ears, "Stay strong, tell your son's story." I know this because during the vigil, she found me, gave me my son's last hug back, and told me those same words. I'm here today, marching for my son, her son, and all of our loved ones that couldn't be here today. He died, defending and protecting all of us. Now I stand for him and each of you. Justice for Jorge Gomez. Justice for Thomas McHenry. Justice for all of our loved ones.
Hey everybody, how y'all doing? Justice for Dontre Williams. December 19, 2011, I had to call crises. He was at home with no medication. So when I called crisis, SWAT team in Gwinnett County, Beaufort, Georgia, heard the call. They came to my house and swamped all around my house like we were, I don't know what you call it. But anyway, they overrided crises. Crises was standing in the yard, fanning his hand, telling him, "Don't shoot, don't shoot." But they had to wait on another cop to come from crises. So once Dontre calmed down, he opened the door. We didn't even know they was outside our door. He opened the door, he had a machete. He always think he's a Ninja Turtle. It was just a rusty machete. They told him drop the weapon. He dropped the weapon, they opened fire and started shooting all up in the house, and I was standing behind him, his brother was standing in the window. They shot 17 times. It was 6 to hit him and 1 exit wound. They asked him to come down off the porch. When he came down off the porch, the officer came up on the porch, got the machete, he was dragging himself. He fell, he was crying for me, but they wouldn't let me go to him. He said this was a police investigation. Once he fell on the ground, they made sure that he died. Ambulance to come and help him. So, Dontre Williams.
Justice for Dontre.
We're still trying to open up his case. That was an overkill. So y'all just pray, and I'm praying for everyone.
I'm gonna say what's up.
And I know that God has intervened. Justice for Dontre Williams.
Justice for Dontre Williams. Okay. Reopen the cases. Reopen the cases. Prosecute the police. Jail killer cops.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, fuck 12! 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, fuck 12! Xavier Hill was my son. He was 18 years old. He was shot by the police on January 9th, 2021. 2 officers opened fire on Xavier. Xavier said, "My door is broken." He was stuck inside of his car. We will not stop or rest in justice for Xavier and fix his crooked ass system until we win. Justice for Xavier! Justice for Xavier! Fuck 12! No justice! No justice! Fuck 12! Fuck 12! Have a good day.
It's too loud. What's bothering you?
Excuse me.
I'm going to read a few more names.
It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. Right? It's real. It's real. Right. You been out there yet? Had to say what's up to Tashira.
Altercation at his girlfriend's house. Jabril left at home. Police decided to pursue Jabril. Jabril off running. Took out him one time in the back of the head. Jabril's case was immediately swept under the rug. The case was closed. We had never spoken with the DA. She would refuse to speak with the family. She didn't have no communication with us. She just closed the case. It's been 5 years since Jabril been murdered. This year of January 2021 was the first time of me speaking with the DA. Reopen the case. Say his name. Justice for Jabril Robinson. Thank you.
What's going
Correction
on,
on the name
I'm
that I
here.
just read. Joshua Vihian from
Washington.
Colorado.
At the No Justice, No Peace prosecution.
Justice for Josh.
Police brutality rally.
Hello, everybody.
About a half monument.
2019, I'm 2015.
There's
I'm
a
sorry.
bigger event going
Cincinnati
on.
police answered a menacing call.
Voters
Upon
rights
answering this
march.
menacing call, my son had been walking
There's all
outside
kind of
his apartment.
politicians and speakers
His
over on
apartment
that
was on the
side
third
right
story
now.
floor.
That was over there.
Said they knocked on the door. They did not. Their story is that they were answered the door with a gun. Say he had a gun. Our officer was supposed to grab the gun, but upon grabbing the gun, Officer Doris got shot. My question to the police station was, where was the threat? If there was a threat, the gun was, if he had a gun in his hand, the gun was pointing upward, where was the threat? You could have hit him anywhere else on the body. I would have had a son, you would have had a prisoner. I wouldn't be feeling like a motherless child. Here I am 6 years later, still no justice. How do you find justice when you aren't able to identify your child? How do you find justice when he's already shot you, handcuffed, and hold a gun on him until he stopped breathing? How do you find justice for him when there's an ambulance outside waiting to render aid for him, but they're not allowed to come inside? Where is the fucking justice? Where is the fucking justice? There is no justice. That night I became judge during the executioner. The next morning I woke up, a mama was hell inside me. And that would be until my last breath. So for everybody out here, we're not taking this walk alone. This is my first event in 6 years because I was scared to bring it out. But look at every day, there's more mothers just like me. I can't keep it inside. I want to share the joy with everybody else. Justice for Quandavia.
Justice for Quandavia. Justice for Quandavia.
In his words, say no more.
Say no more. Say no more.
Many names that we haven't heard. So many names we haven't heard.
Hello, y'all. My name is Latoya Howell. My mother, Alice Howell. My son was Justice Howell. Justice was killed, murdered by Zion police, April 4th, 2015. It's crazy how we can sit up on this stage and tell y'all our stories, and it feels like we're the only ones listening. You feel me? We don't see no politicians out here, no elected officials, none of that type of shit. We don't even see the police out here. You know what I'm saying? They should be held accountable. They should be right here. I look at all these people and I can't help but to think of the pain that each and every family member have been through over here. I know it's been times that I want to fall on my face. I want to fucking fall off the planet. Like, it was all inside of me and I didn't know how to get it out. You know, so these events right here do help. People say that, you know, why are you still marching? Why are you still going to these events? It's 6 years later, there's still no justice. You know, we lost everything. We didn't win shit. But why I come is for solidarity. I want everybody to know that y'all don't have to stand alone. Y'all don't have to hurt alone. Look at this family right here. It's fucked up how we all got here. But when you look at this shit, it's power in numbers, y'all. And when y'all can change shit, just change shit in your own communities, you know what I'm saying? Take it to the fucking county city buildings and all of that. Don't just sit around and wait for another march, you know what I'm saying? Y'all have to learn to change this shit in your own town first. You know, we feel the hurt everywhere. George Floyd, his death blew shit off the charts, y'all. And it's crazy how some murders are, you know, greatly, you know what I'm saying, praised more than others or whatever. But it's all the same, y'all. At the end of the fucking day, he's gone, just like our family members. So all I want to say is, you know, keep up the fight, even though you're tired, yo. I don't watch Nicholas Hayward Sr. die in this fight. You feel me? All them years, his little boy got killed on the steps in the fucking project in New York. And that man fought his entire life and still didn't get justice. So I'm just gonna tell y'all, be strong, man. You got to be strong in this fight. It was times I couldn't even talk this long, y'all. Crying shit, you know? It shit hurt. But y'all stay in the fight. Stay in the fight. Go to the Justice House. Stay in the fight. Keep facing to this evil fucking and don't give up. Put your fucking boots to the ground and do not give up. No justice! No peace! No justice! No peace! No racist! No peace! Fuck 12! Fuck 12! Mom, did you want to say anything? Okay. Well, she made me say, make sure we get these cases reopened. Say, reopen the case!
Reopen the case!
Reopen the case.
Justice for Justice Howell. Say his name.
Justice for Justice Howell.
Thank y'all.
All right.
Hello, my name is Sarah Williams, and my son Antonia Williams is here and here. And this is my stepson, Jonesy Cooper. Both was killed by DC police.
Wow.
Antonia Williams was killed he was born January 7th, 1997. February the 7th, 1995, a 6th district officer got a call. The police came to my home, they left. One of the officers that heard the call came, knocked on my door, which he should not have knocked on my door. His name is Christopher Payne, the 6th district. He had 1 civil case against him and 5 harassment cases. He chased my son. My son went out the back door. He chased my son down the alley. It was a little snow outside. My son ran down the alley. All we heard was footprints. The next thing, we heard 6 gunshots, then another. Christopher Payne stood over my son, shot him twice in his head on the left side, and 5 more times on the left side. He looked up at the apartments where we live. Someone is a witness to all this. Turn around, shot him again. Turn around, shot him again. This was 7 times. This was in Washington Post article, which I have that information. He's also in City Paper. It's called Overkill, 1998 issue. You can find it on the web. Little Joe, which is Joseph, his brother's at the end, he's older. He was walking across East Capitol. This happened all in Washington, D.C., District of Columbia. And he was shot by the officer actually over top as the Union of D.C. Police. These are 2, oh wow. This is a brother of one of them. This is my sister. This is a good friend, like a brother. This has hurt my heart so much. I mean, it really, and people lost one. You know, I can feel it. And I have been to a lot of marches. I have worked with people that lost someone. And I pray to God, this will open up the cases for many people, because there are some crooked cops out here. I live around, I build, but as long as I have in my body, I'm gonna be Antonia Williams, my son, eyes, ears, and mouth. That's the only thing that won't stop me. They're gonna have to take my life. Say his name, Antonio Williams and Joseph Cooper. And we open our cases.
We open cases. Gangsters out here too. I just gotta find them. Yeah, Brooklyn gangsters out here. Stop out where they at.
And while we're waiting, let me read some more names. Juan May, Arlington, Texas. Keith Vidal, Southport, North Carolina. Peterson Jr., Vancouver, Washington. Kyle Baker, Trenton, Michigan. Kyle Eichler, Chillicothe, Missouri. Kyle Zimbelman, Reno, Nevada. Kyler Grabenbear, Denver, Colorado. Laquan Brown, Charlotte, North Carolina. Leonard Thomas, Tacoma, Washington. Logan Simpson, Bixby, Oklahoma. Lola Jones, Lancaster, Texas. Manuel Angel Diaz, Anaheim, California. Marlon Brand, DeLand, Florida. Matthew Thayer Graves, Eagle Point, Oregon. Matthew Cameron Nolden, Midvale, Utah. If you came late, these are the names of loved ones taken by police whose family was not able to make it to the action today.
It's a nice walk. It's a nice walk.
Good afternoon, my name is Debbie Bush, and I'm from San Antonio, Texas. I'm here standing for my nephew, Marquise Jones, who was murdered in 2014, shot in his back over a fender bender. The fender bender, he was not even driving, he was a passenger, and he decided that he didn't want to be a part because we found out after his death that he had an altercation with this officer 2 weeks prior to the officer that killed him. We decided to fight and continue to fight. My sister
has a hard time dealing with this. So I'm her voice for my family and also for several families in San Antonio. We have to stand in unity. As you can see, over there was more important to everybody else. Over there, because all the TV cameras, celebrities, and everybody else were over there. But over here, this is not important to anybody. Our loved ones are not important to anybody but us as a group. If we come together across America as one group, they have no choice but to hear us out. We have to keep fighting for our loved ones no matter what. I promised my nephew I would fight for him to the day I took my last breath, and I mean it, because he did not deserve to die. They tried to reopen the case because me and my friends kept asking the DA to be removed. He called our lawyer and told them to tell me to be quiet, but I will never be quiet.
Marquise Jones.
We are the Sullivan Cianias family from Los Angeles, California, and we're here on behalf of David Sullivan. My brother David was shot and killed in Fullerton, California on August 19, 2019 by the Buena Park Police Department. And since then, the officers responsible, Bobby Colon and Jennifer Tran, have not had to face any repercussions because of qualified immunity. This is in part due to the attorney Bruce Pratt, who represents Buena Park PD, and Pratt is actually a co-founder of a company, Lexapro, that is actually I'm sorry. Pratt's a co-founder of Lexapro, which is a for-profit company that provides policies to police departments that helps them shirk responsibility, such as what happened to my brother.
It is a scandal.
These kind of policies take away from the transparency that we so desperately need in all these kind of cases. In my brother's case, and in the case of all these other impacted families. If you'd like to find out more, please go to Instagram at Justice for David Sullivan, or go to at JusticeX_PDA, their names, LA, for the stories of other impacted families. Thank you.
Say his name, David Sullivan! David Sullivan! Say his name! It's Prop 12! My name is Adina Payton, and I'm from Huntsville, Alabama. Anybody that can take a picture and mail it, I appreciate it. My son, Brad Pugh, was shot 16 times by the Huntsville Police Department after a 3.5-hour standoff when he was in a mental health crisis. He left my house. I didn't know he was on the roof. It was on 3 TV stations. They awoke me, told me not to come, which would have helped. And then the next morning, it was like it never happened. I couldn't get it in the paper. I couldn't get it on the news. I raised money and I put up billboards. Mental illness is not a crime. Can't shoot everybody that's sick. Please help us. It has been a very long journey. I don't have the body cam. I don't have the police report. I have an autopsy that says 16 bullets through my baby. His son, Bryson, said, "Grandma, why did they shoot him 16 times? I don't know, baby, but I'm gonna find out." So please help me bring the attention to this case in Huntsville, Alabama that is it's over. But it's not over, is it? God is still in charge. Thank you, people, for bringing me in. Brad Pugh. Brad Pugh. Brad Pugh. Brad Pugh.
Desmond Phillips, say his name.
Desmond Phillips.
Desmond Phillips, say his name.
Desmond Phillips.
My son Desmond, he wasn't killed. My son wasn't killed. He was murdered. You hear me? He was murdered. There's a difference between killing and murder. You can accidentally kill someone, but when you murder, you go in there to do that. My son was murdered 3/17/2017. He was murdered in front of me, my two grandsons, his two nephews. Police came to my house on a mental health call, went in the backyard, sliding doors unlocked, they radioed up front, we're making entry into the kitchen. Soon as they said that, front door was kicked open. They didn't say a word to my son. They didn't say, Desmond, put your hands up. Desmond, get on the ground. They immediately start shooting and tasing. I seen a cop empty his gun in my son when he was down.
Wow.
Desmond's 6'1½". He caught everything in the face, the head, the neck, the mouth, and the chest. Multiple gunshot wounds to the head. It was 4 active shooters that I saw murdering my son. Do you think they're still on the beat? One cop tased my son. He said it didn't work. The taser didn't work. I have photos of my son. I have photos of my son burnt to the raw bone, flesh. So let me say this. Here's a picture for you. What they did to Desmond, they were basically cooking him alive while being shot at the same time. So with that being said, he was murdered, and it's capital murder. Cop puts on a Confederate flag t-shirt after murdering my son. Wow. Come on now.
I just want to say justice for Desmond. That's my baby brother. And as a sibling, that was more like my son too, because I am a mom. So I'm fighting for my brother. I'm fighting for my sons, my daughter, your kids, your family members. I'm fighting for everybody. Justice for Desmond Phillips, justice for Mark Thompson, my cousin. Just justice for all. Love you guys.
Thank you.
Justice for Desmond Phillips.
How we doing? All right. I know it's hot, but how we doing? We was blessed to be in this space, right? Right? My name is Adrian Hood. I am from Columbus, Ohio. My son Henry Green V was killed by 2 plainclothes police officers June 6, 2016 in our community. Like I said, plainclothes police officers did not identify themselves. June 6, 2016. But I'm not gonna take a whole lot of time on that. Look me up, Adrian Hood, Facebook. What I am here to do is tell us and to encourage us. We are no longer going to encourage and get people to sympathize with us like our loved ones are not human. We over that. It's no convincing no legislators and all of that kind of stuff. We're over that. How we are going to do that, we have to use our bodies and our power, and our vote is our voice, period. Understand that. And then those seats need to be replaced with people like you and I. That's right. Like you and I. Let me say that again. Don't think that you can't do it because you can. And we need to be in those spaces. We have come here collectively to support one another, to love on one another, to give strength and power to one another, because that's what we do. That is what we do. So we have to stand here and be here for each other. I don't care what state we're from.
from. We are one. Collectively, we are standing here today for 3 specific reasons. Reopen our cases.
Reopen them cases.
Reopen our cases. Prosecute them killer cops. And send them to jail. Send them to jail. If a 6x9 is good enough for any of us, it's good enough for them. They not gonna keep taking our loved ones' lives and there's no accountability. I'm not gonna say justice because you can't give me my son back. But I dang sure am looking for accountability. And it's gonna come. Don't y'all give up hope. Don't give up faith. We in this to the end. Use your voice, your power, and fight for your loved one. And when you can't, call the sister up because I got your back.
I got your back.
Justice for Henry Green.
No justice!
No peace.
No justice!
No peace.
No justice!
No peace.
Good afternoon. I stand here representing my grandson, DJ Henry, who was killed by police in upstate New York 10 years ago. I'm just coming to put my love with the love that's here. And all you other folks that have not been affected by police murders, we want you to look around and see the families, knowing that this is just a small ripple in the pond of devastation that we have here in America. I just want to let you know that DJ's life lives on. We live on through the foundation, we live on through the fight to have his case reopened, and it will be reopened in New York. It will be reopened in New York, upstate New York. So I just want to encourage everybody, don't quit. Don't quit. It gets a hard hassle, but don't quit. Don't give up. We're here together. DJ was killed after a football game with him and his friends at a bar. A fight broke out. He left the bar, sat in his car. One cop asked him to leave. He started his engine and started to drive off. And the second cop jumped on the hood of this car and fired 3 shots in the car, killing my grandson. It was upstate New York. Aaron Hess is the shooter. So I just want to just say, justice will be served. Killer cops will go to jail. Jail, killer cops. Don't kill them, but jail, killer cops. What's his name? DJ Henry. DJ Henry. DJ Henry.
Fuck 12! Fuck 12! Fuck 12! No justice! No peace! No justice! No peace! Fuck 12! Fuck 12!
Hi everyone, my name is Maria Burgos. I'm here to represent my brother Nicholas Burgos, who was shot October 5th, 2020, while he was inside the hospital, Harbor UCLA in Torrance. My brother was shot 7 times by an officer because she feared for her life while he was having a mental crisis. My brother passed away November 1st. His body couldn't take the pain. His body was decomposing, so there was no way for me to save my brother. And I'm here because I want police to be removed from hospitals. We don't need police officers in the hospitals. We're not even safe anymore in a hospital, so where do we go now when we need medical attention? If we can't get help in the hospital, where do we go? I just want to say thank you, and thanks for the opportunity of letting me be here today. Say his name, Nick Burgos. Nick Burgos. Nick Burgos. Nick Burgos. Thank you.
I'm doing this on behalf of Lori Valdez. Many of you know her, but she wasn't able to make it here, but she asked me to say something for her son. This little guy over here wrote a letter to the criminal who took his father away. Here is. Mr. Officer Mike Santos, my name is Josiah Antonio Lopez, and I'm the little boy who was only 4. You killed my dad, Antonio Guzman, on February 21st, 2014. When I was a little, I needed my father because he didn't get to do stuff with me like you do with your kids. Why didn't you just talk to him?
I want your kids to know how it feels to live without a dad. Your kids need to feel my pain. Your kids need to suffer like me. You need to feel my pain. It's hard to live. It's hard to live without a dad. This letter is for this criminal who's gonna listen to this. I know he's hearing us. Thank you very much.
What do you tell the kids?